In today's video, I'm going to show you how I use the Radial Gradient Tool to add and enhance the light in this photo. Hi there, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kelly Ishmael, and I love using Lightroom to help me edit my photos, but more importantly, to add some mood or to enhance certain parts of my photo. The Radial Gradient tool is one of my favorite tools in Lightroom, and I love the way it allows me to just add light or enhance the light in certain areas of my photo. And this is the photo that I'm going to be working on today. You can see the after on the right-hand side and my starting point here on the left-hand side. And just a little background about the photo. We'd had a week of rain and storms, and then one morning it was just such a beautiful, bright, sunny morning, but there was kind of a mist. Wasn't exactly foggy, but there was just kind of a haze, and the way the light was streaming through the trees, it just created these really beautiful rays of light that were just really a lovely treat after a week of gray skies and stormy weather. So let me go ahead and make this my main photo here. I'm going to turn this off so we can start on my main photo. Okay. And to get started, I think what I would like to do is crop my photo. This is a little piece of gutter or something, so maybe just crop that part out before I get started on making any other adjustments. I might also come down to the effects, not the effects, the transform panel, and I'm going to use this auto option to maybe straighten up the street a little bit here, line it up so that it's a little more straight. And I think that is great. Yeah, that helps a lot. Just pull down that corner a little bit. And I think that's going to be just fine. So hit enter on my keyboard to accept that. Okay, now to get started, I have still been using my Muse presets from Pretty Presets. These days, I like the Muse 1, but I've tweaked it a little bit just for my own personal taste, and I'll share the link to a previous video where I show you how you can customize presets to kind of give it more of your own feel. So with that done, I'm going to come over to my basic panel. And what I would like to do is warm up this photo just a little bit. I typically shoot it on my camera. I shoot in RAW format, and I do not typically set a white balance in camera. I usually do that here in Lightroom if it needs to be tweaked. And so in this case, I want to bump up the warmth just give it a warmer because it was really sunny and just really lovely. So I'm just going to warm this up a little bit. And then what I would also like to do is move the slider away from the green. There's so much green going on. And so to counterbalance that, I think I will just move it to the right a tiny bit. Okay, like I said in the beginning, the favorite part of this photo for me are these light rays kind of coming down through the trees. It was so pretty. Obviously, a photo is never going to be able to capture exactly what I saw with my own two eyes, but that's why I'm here to try to get a little bit closer to to get to what I saw in my mind's eye that morning. And to do that, what I would like to do is decrease the overall exposure. And so that's going to decrease or make the shadows a little bit darker so that the light will stand out a little bit more, which is what I like. I might even pull it back a little bit more. And then I'll leave the highlights for now because I do want those lighter areas, but I am going to continue to deepen the shadows just a little bit. I don't mind if it has a little bit of a moody feel, and then we will create more light with that gradient tool. I'll show you here in a minute. I also like that by reducing the shadows a little bit, some of these little areas like this little, you can barely see it, but they're just little tiny little bugs kind of just zipping around in the sky. So I love that it brings that out a little bit. So it's a little detail that might have gone unnoticed without having those shadows down a little bit more. Might also just bump up the clarity a tiny bit. The tone curve, color mixer, color grading, those are all things that are part of the preset, so I don't need to make any changes there. For detail though, I will go ahead and add some sharpening, and I move it over to the right a little bit, pretty far, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask this off, and I'm going to hold down the Option key on my keyboard, and this will show me where the sharpening is being applied. So I can see in my image here, I just want to apply the sharpening around the main edges. So I'm going to really take this masking slider far to the right. And I think that'll be just fine. Like I said, I really love how these little gnats or whatever they are kind of captured here floating around. I think that's a really sweet detail. I didn't notice it at the time. I love that I can see it in the photo now. So now to address these light rays, those are my favorite part of the photo. I'm going to come into my masking tools, and I'm going to select the Radial Gradient Tool. And I'm going to select this lighten option, and then I'm simply going to drag an oval in the general area of these light rays. And then I can drag it to the main part of that. And then if I grab this little handle at the bottom, it will let me tilt it a bit. And the lightest part is going to be inside this inner circle. And then I can feather it out a little bit more if I want, which is what I would like to do. Maybe I will also tilt it just a little bit more. You can see the general trajectory of this. And that looks great. I might feather it out. I don't want any harsh lines here. I want it to, even though it is naturally occurring and I want it to continue to look natural, I also want it to, I want it to stand out in the photo. And you can see with this red overlay, that is where this effect is taking or is being applied. So I've got it lightened a little bit. I might actually lighten it just a little bit more, maybe add a little bit of contrast to it. So here it is without the mask, and here it is with the mask. And you can see it just brightened that up a little bit to make it stand out a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to do the next one. So I'm going to create a new mask. I'm going to do a radial gradient. I don't know why I can't say that sometimes. And I'm going to apply that generally in this area. So once again, I'm going to drag an oval. I'm going to leave this one fairly narrow this time because it's a little bit more narrow of a light beam here. Well, maybe not. Maybe we'll fill that out. But I am going to feather it out a bit more just so the light is in that main area. I might actually extend it so that it comes down into the street a little bit more. Yeah, I like that. I might do the same thing here. To do that, I'm going to make my photo a little bit smaller so I can grab this edge. And that way I can pull it down a bit further. Might even tilt it just a tiny bit more. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I'm going to hit enter to accept that. Okay, and there's another one right here. I'm going to use Radial Gradient. Say that 10 times fast. Same kind of thing, just going to tilt it. Maybe make it a little more narrow. This one's a little bit smaller. Basically do the same thing. Give it a little tilt. I'd extend it up into the trees a bit. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter to accept that one. Now, there's one last little ray of light right here. And I think using the radial gradient tool is just going to be a little bit too wide. So instead of using that that mask, I'm going to use the brush tool. And I can use the brackets on my keyboard to make it a little wider or a little more narrow. And once again, I can adjust the flow and density of it. I back that off and I want to feather it so it's not a super harsh border around it. And I'm going to use that same lighten option here, and I'm just going to draw right on top of where that would be. I'm going to back this off because that just feels like a little too much. Yeah, I might actually brush a little bit more right in here on this big one. This is the one that really stands out, that you can really see the striations in the sun ray there. What was I trying to say? There we go. Okay, that looks great. Awesome. Okay, so I can go ahead and close out of that. I think one thing I would like to do is warm up the highlights a little bit, and I am going to come into my color grading options here. These are the options that were set with the preset that I'm using, but I want to just add a little more warmth to the background, and I can do that in this highlight option, and I can either give it a number here in the saturation, or I can just drag this little circle up to add a little more warmth to the overall lighter areas of the photo. And I think that feels really warm and sunny, I guess you could say. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. And now you can really see these sweet little bugs here. The light rays look really awesome. Like I said, it's just a really, really fun way to play around, to add a little extra light where just to enhance the existing features in a photo. If I use the backslash key on my keyboard, here's my photo before the adjustments, and here it is after. And I love the way that it enhanced the light. It feels warm and sunny, almost an ethereal type of look to it with those sun rays, which is kind of how it felt that morning. So I would say mission accomplished here. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.